The vision that we have for the next couple of years is that anyone with a stablecoin is going to essentially be able to buy any US stock or ETF or mutual fund that they want 24/5, 24/7, being able to get margin on the assets they hold across different asset classes. We really want to break open the barriers that currently still exist for a global user base to have access to the financial products and services that they want. I am Ian Bode, Chief Strategy Officer at Ondo Finance. Ondo Finance is a company that puts traditional financial assets on crypto rails to make it available to a global audience. The challenges that we are solving at Ondo Finance primarily is one of access to the right financial assets and the right financial services for a global audience. The current existing financial landscape is incredibly fragmented. People do not have access to the assets that they would like. Think of a stablecoin, right? It was the first instrument that really gave easy global access to the US dollar to a global audience. Ondo Finance is trying to do the same thing, but for broader US capital markets assets, including treasury funds, stocks, ETFs, etc. We essentially take the underlying assets, place that in our custody, and issue a mirror asset on these crypto rails to make that available to a global audience. We also make sure that these assets that we issue have a lot of the investor protections that people are used to in traditional finance. When we issue treasury assets or stocks or ETFs, we also want to make sure that whatever sits at the clearing broker account is appropriately represented on chain so that when you hold one of our tokens, you actually have an interest in the collateral. When you think about what stablecoins really did, it's tokenizing dollars, they made it available to a global audience and made these dollars move 24/7. There were also better forms of dollars because you could use them in DeFi for whatever you wanted. We will do the same thing for US stocks, ETFs, mutual funds, put them on crypto rails, make them move 24/7 permissionlessly to a global user base, and make them integrated into DeFi, so whatever you end up holding on chain will be better than what you can hold in your brokerage account. When I was at McKinsey, I spent a little over 8 years there. The first project I did in digital assets was back in 2016, when some French banks were very interested in tokenization already and trying to understand how it could make their processes more efficient. Obviously, since 2016, we have come a very long way. A lot of the institutional players are finally at a moment where they feel that the technology is ready to start making moves. And with this, under this administration, finally the regulatory clarity that a lot of these institutions have been seeking is finally at a point where it is near. So a lot of the institutions have historically tried to adopt a fast follower strategy. They were always wanting to be kind of ready, but they would, when the time was right, try to move quickly to catch up to some of the crypto native companies. And that time definitely has come. The amount of interest that we are seeing at Ondo from the traditional financial incumbents, I think is unlike anything I have ever seen. There were long periods of time when I was working at McKinsey where, I would struggle to get traction on the topic. A lot of people would dismiss it. The number of times people said that this whole crypto thing was a fad and would go away, I lost count. But no one's thinking this is going to go away anymore. People just want to figure out a way to be relevant in the digital asset space, because as a traditional financial incumbent, that's not as easily achieved. We partner with Ripple to issue one of our tokenized treasury funds called OUSG on the XRPL ledger, and also make available subscriptions and redemptions into that tokenized treasury fund with the Ripple stablecoin RLUSD. We really believe that it kind of marks a pretty interesting moment. OUSG is one of the largest RWAs to be issued, and really we want to give access to these tokenized treasury funds. So if you want to hold OUSG, you have to also onboard and KYC with us. Once you have done so and we have approved you, you can say which wallet address you would like to hold this asset into. And the moment we approve you, you can essentially pay for the OUSG with your RLUSD. And once you hold the OUSG, you start earning interest about 4.1% on a daily basis, paid out daily. If you ever then want to redeem back into the stablecoin, you can. You just go onto our platform, you let us know, and immediately we will provide RLUSD back to you so that you can hold a stablecoin whenever you want to, or you can hold a tokenized treasury fund whenever you want to earn interest. We believe this is a very exciting and innovative product because it allows a global investor base to actually have access to tokenized treasuries that pay out yield, but in a very seamless 24/7 way. The existing TradFi rails, they don't actually support 24/7 subscriptions and redemptions. If you miss the cutoff date on a certain day when you want to subscribe to a money market fund, you will only start earning interest the next day, or if you're unlucky and it's a Friday, you're only going to be earning interest starting on Monday. What really is innovative about these tokenized treasury funds on crypto rails is that you can start earning interest whenever you want to, 24/7, and pay for these tokenized treasury funds, subscribes into these tokenized treasury funds with a stablecoin, again, whenever you want to. We've essentially enabled a system that has significantly less friction than the existing TradFi rails. We believe Ripple is a very interesting partner to bring OUSG to the next step, because Ripple obviously is no stranger to institutional adoption overall. They were one of the very first networks that really figured out a go-to-market with the banks. There's a meaningful institutional investor base that is active on Ripple. So we felt that it was the right next step to bring OUSG in order to really tap into that institutional investor base, because people want access to very credible treasury assets so that they can start earning yield on their income. We have worked at this point with, I think, over 12 different blockchains, but Ripple really stands out in how professional they are, in how quickly they can move, and also the diligence, quite frankly, they do on the partners that they work with. They don't just work with anyone, and we really respect our partners when they are very mindful about who they do business with. The future that we are working towards with Ondo Finance truly is one where financial services and capital markets more broadly truly operate and move 24/7, and where anyone globally with an internet connection can have access to US financial products whenever they want. The vision that we have for the next couple of years is that anyone with a stablecoin is going to essentially be able to buy any US stock or ETF or mutual fund that they want 24/5, 24/7, being able to get margin on the assets they hold across different asset classes. We really want to break open the barriers that currently still exist for a global user base to have access to the financial products and services that they want. Right now, we have focused on really tokenizing treasuries to date. We have 2 big funds live. We have gotten meaningful traction, but the next big step for us is really to start tokenizing stocks, ETFs, mutual funds, and people can expect more from us on that front very, very soon.